My Bears made some big moves this weekend.
Yeah.
I can't wait for your take.
The AFC is in trouble. Justin Jefferson will be traded to the Cincinnati Bengals within the next couple
will
days.
he?
Cincinnati is going to give up 2 first-round picks. They're going to trade for Justin Jefferson.
I like it.
They're going to
This
sign
actually
Justin
comes
Jefferson
true, John.
and Jamar
This is
Chase
very
to
good for the
3-year,
Vikings, in my opinion. I'm the one guy
That's
in
why
Minnesota
he
who
turned
said,
down the $30
get
million
picks.
per year
There's
deal that the
receivers
Minnesota
everywhere
Vikings
right now.
offered him. They are about to move him, and the Cincinnati Bengals are about to make one of the biggest splash
it will be
moves
the
this
pro
offseason.
version of LSU, by
This
the way.
trio
Yeah,
already,
quarterback,
you remember
both
the
receivers.
national
Burrow,
championship
Chad,
LSU, right?
and
this right here is a
Justin.
boss move by Cincinnati because
Not
if
bad.
you're going to
They got 2
compete
receivers this year in the
with
draft
Kansas
that are
City,
almost as good
in
as
order
those
to get
guys.
to that AFC
So why don't the
championship game,
Vikings just get one of them?
Yeah.
Well,
That-
it's interesting,
Of
John.
course, is Ched
Oh, go ahead.
at the GOAT. Ched, Chedd at the GOAT. All right. Sorry, Pete.
No, that's okay. That guy's fun. He's really smart. I think he could be onto something. Now, you never know. Things can fall apart very quickly when these guys are trying to deal players and all the rest of it. We all know that. But if this were to happen, John, as a Viking guy, I would say bring it on, because you got to have some guts sometimes. And as much as I love Justin Jefferson, think he's maybe the best receiver in football right now, maybe. But others could argue, a lot of different other guys, probably LSU receivers everywhere else in the NFL. But the reality is, I think if you could get some picks, right now you don't have a quarterback. Our best quarterback on the roster here in Minnesota, John, is Sam Darnold, who has almost as many interceptions in his career as he has touchdowns. So that isn't the right guy. So are you going to give a receiver like JJ $50 million? I don't think so. Maybe if the Vikings could have pulled their head out, they would have given a 6th-round draft pick to the Chicago Bears. Kind of the way it all kind of unfolded with the Pittsburgh Steelers, John, which is the trade you and I were looking at. We're like, I think the whole world is looking at this going, now what is Chicago doing? Even if you get and want Caleb Williams, why would you not hold on to Justin Fields, and then figure out how you want to approach the rest of it? And it doesn't have to be on draft day, by the way. You could do it in a lot of different ways. Maybe you do it for other players. You could do a lot of different things. But I don't know, John, it's really interesting because just a week ago, I was out at a dinner with some friends in Florida, and lo and behold, one of the guys, I'm standing there, and I'll tell you who he is in 1 second, but I walked over to this gentleman and I go, hey, how's it going? And he goes, how you doing, Pete? Blah, blah, blah. I said, I just wanted to congratulate you on your Mac Jones trade, because let me tell you something. I said, you fleeced the New England Patriots with a 6th-round pick with this guy after he went as high as he did. He was the number 15 pick in the draft. You know where Justin Fields was? Number 11. They both got 6th-rounders. And I'm standing there, and I said to Shahid Khan, I said, hey, look, congratulations, because I think you're moving in the right direction with the Jacksonville Jaguars right now. And he goes, thank you very much. He goes, I agree. He goes, I basically gave him a bag of balls, which is exactly what they did when you give a 6th-round draft pick. So
it could be a 4th-rounder. It could be a 4th-rounder, depending how much Justin plays.
If he plays 51%, it turns into a 4th-rounder in 2025. Whoop-de-doo.
Here's the deal that I looked at, Pete. They're either one of the shrewdest moves made in pro football in the offseason, or one of the dumbest. And everybody thinks it's the dumbest, including me. I think it's very likely to be the dumbest move they could have made. Should have held on to him, drafted Caleb, and now when everybody else is looking around going, God, well, we didn't get the quarterback we wanted. We're going to have to, how much you guys want for Fields? Because obviously you're committed to Caleb at this point. And the Bears aren't committed to anybody. It's just like, Pete, when Manning, not Peyton, but his brother, came out and was drafted by the Chargers. And his dad said, you ain't going to the Chargers, man, because they ruin quarterbacks. And they made that they drafted him, but then they had to immediately trade him to the Giants. Now, the Bears could be shrewd like that. The Bears could make everybody think they want to draft Caleb. They could actually draft Caleb. And meanwhile, they're hearing all of what everybody else is saying, Pete, and then they trade him without ever signing him or anything else. Obviously, anybody can sign a quarterback because you're getting him for 4 years for nothing.
Mhm.
But that's why you're idiots to give away Fields for a bag of balls for a sixth-round pick. Makes no sense whatsoever. But, the Bears, that's the kind of moves they make, Pete.
And I liked what this guy was starting to build there, right? He's made some trades. I liked a lot of the trades that the more recent GM, he's done some good things. But this one's terrible. It just is, because unless Caleb actually is who everybody thinks he is right now, and I'm still 50-50, because there's a heck of a lot to be said, John, with are you a system quarterback or are you really a great quarterback? And that's where this whole debate comes in. Mac Jones, turns out he might be a system guy, right? Some of these guys are in the right system. If you're at USC, Alabama, it's tough to figure out, are you a system guy or are you a guy who actually is good? Name me a USC quarterback who's worth a damn. Now, everybody points to one guy, went to Cincinnati, had one Super Bowl run, and it had nothing to do with him. It had everything to do with the very good team that they had, running back, everything else, great offensive line. So it's just one of those things where, are you a system guy or are you not? And I think that's the big issue. And I'm wondering if Caleb Williams is a system guy. And, oh, by the way, for the people who say, well, you're nuts, Pete, I'd say, well, why did they lose the last 6 games of the year at USC? I mean, tell me, if this guy's the best quarterback in all of football, how did they not win some games towards the latter half of the year, right? And it's like,
here's what I do, Pete. This would make them geniuses if they did this. Now everybody's convinced that it's Caleb Williams, Caleb Williams, Caleb Williams. So now, between here and draft day, somebody that really is sold on Caleb Williams comes to them and says, okay, I'll give you 2 number ones for that spot. I'll give you this year's number 1, next year's number 1. The Bears did it last year when we made that trade with Tepper. Let's do it again. Do it again. And instead, get the trade down, get the guy you really wanted anyway, which is Jaden Daniels. He'll be a better pro quarterback. Mark my words, a better pro quarterback, Pete, because he reads defenses better. And Caleb, I love the passion, but I don't like to see him crying in his mom's arms when he can't beat Washington, when he can't beat Utah and things like that. That's not the guy that's going to lead the team if I was the GM.
Yeah, no, you're right. And as a matter of fact, I was with one of the LSU coaches just this past weekend, and we were talking about all the different players that they've got in the NFL, and they've got a ton, John. Linebackers, they got them. Wide receivers, they dominate the entire league. And he said Jaden Daniels, the best quarterback in this draft. It's not even a debate by far. 6'4", 210-pound kid. He can sling it. He's a stud, and he can make it happen, and he's ready for the NFL. And he's played in the Pac-12. He had to play in the SEC. He's done it all. The kid's a heck of a player and somebody that I think we all think is probably better than some of the other guys that are actually ranked above him. Drake May, I'm not positive on him, John. And everybody else is. They're like, he's the guy. I'm like, well, I saw him against my Gophers, and I didn't think he was unbelievable, that's for sure. I didn't think he was the second pick in the draft kind of a thing.